Hi Sarah. Thanks for coming in to talk to me today. How are you feeling?
Hi, Frank. I'm feeling a bit anxious.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'd like to talk about managing your anxiety today. Last time you spoke to me, you mentioned the need to perform rituals before you leave the house. Can you tell me more about that?
I feel that I have to check everything several times. I'm really worried that something terrible will happen if I don't do it.
That sounds very upsetting. You must feel exhausted if you have to do these rituals every time you leave the house. Can you describe the rituals for me?
Before I leave the house, I have to check that all the appliances are turned off. Then I check that all the doors are locked. The last thing I check is that all the windows are closed. Then I have to touch the doorknob 3 times before I leave the house.
It sounds like these rituals take up a lot of your time. They also seem to cause you a lot of stress. Is performing the rituals getting worse? And do they have an impact on other areas of your life?
Yeah, it's harder to leave the house now. I'm often late for appointments because I have to do the rituals before I leave. It's affecting my job and my relationship with my husband too.
That sounds very difficult for you. I'd like to discuss some ways to help you manage these symptoms today. Have you ever tried any techniques to help reduce your anxiety about doing these rituals?
Not really. I've just tried to force myself to leave the house without doing the rituals, but it didn't work. I couldn't stop myself doing them.
I understand. It can be hard to break away from these rituals. But there are techniques you can use to help you do it. One technique is called cognitive behavioral therapy. It's called CBT for short. This type of therapy is effective in treating OCD symptoms. Would you be interested in learning more about CBT?
I've heard the name CBT before, but I don't know much about it. Can you explain it to me?
Sure. You'll work with a therapist. The therapist will help you to identify your goals for CBT. For example, you might want to do fewer rituals every day. Or you might want help to manage your anxiety in general.
Okay. How do I do that?
You'll do some exercises called exposure and response prevention exercises, or ERP for short. These exercises are specially for people with OCD. They help you with situations that trigger your need to perform rituals. While you do the exercises, you won't be allowed to do the rituals.
I tried to confront my fear about bad things happening if I don't do the rituals before. It never worked. Why would this be different?
This time you'll confront your fears slowly. You'll be exposed to your fears gradually, rather than all at once. You learn how to manage any thoughts that are irrational and don't make sense. The therapist will help you to develop ways to face your fears without performing your rituals.
How will I do that?
You'll learn about how to cope with anxiety. Some of the ways to do this include relaxation techniques and mindfulness exercises. Another way is to learn problem-solving skills, so you can manage situations that are stressful for you. Would you be willing to discuss CBT with a therapist?
Yes. I think it sounds very positive. I'm ready to speak to a therapist about learning CBT techniques.